In Georgia, the GOP controls the policymaking agenda by holding the governor's mansion and both chambers of the legislature. This week, we sit down with State Representative Saira Draper, a Democrat, to hear how the minority party navigates that legislative session. How has the session been for you so far?
The session has been fine. It is frustrating. When you are a part of the minority party, you don't get to set the agenda. So the issues that I think are of most concern for Georgians aren't necessarily what's reflected in the agenda that we are working on in the session.
What is the path to greater power in the state for the Democrats right now?
I think we have to lead, full stop, and we have to lead with conviction. So what are our values? What do we offer? How do we differentiate ourselves from the party that is in charge right now? Those are the propositions that we have to be bringing to the voters. And I think it's very important to make the connections for folks that what is happening in Washington is not divorced from what is happening in Georgia. So I'll give you an example. I have a lot of folks in my district who work in federal government and who specifically work at the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. Many of those people were affected by the DOGE federal level layoffs or risk of layoff. And it has caused chaos and panic within this community, within my community.
In a recent email to your supporters, you said you were not happy with the state of the House bill that proponents and advocates and supporters, including Speaker John Burns, have said would advance school safety. What are your concerns about that bill?
The school safety bill, which Republican leadership has called a comprehensive school safety bill, was passed because of the Appalachia school shooting, where 2 students died and 2 teachers died. How many children have to die in Georgia for us to pass a reasonable gun safety law? That is my question. In that comprehensive school safety bill that we did pass, it dealt with other issues. It dealt with mental health. It dealt with, registering students that made threats, and that's fine, right? I'm not saying there's only one approach to school safety, but for them not to even include the word gun in that bill, they are putting their heads in the sand.
You want to see some restrictions on the ability to access firearms in some circumstances.
I think there is a lot of room for common sense regulations on guns, right? One thing that Democrats have been pushing for the last several years is pediatric safe storage. So it's a very simple proposition. If you own a firearm and you live in a house with a child, you have to store that firearm securely, right? This is not radical. It is not an assault on Second Amendment rights. It's just a reflection of the reality that it seems like every week there is a child that finds a gun and shoots themselves or a playmate or an adult. This is something that we could easily prevent if we actually had the strength to stand up to the gun lobby and say this is what needs to happen because children's lives are at stake.
To see more of that conversation, including why Representative Draper sees the 2026 governor's race as a pivotal opportunity for her party, look for a full interview streaming right now on 11 Alive Plus. You can download it on your TV and watch for free.